The Great Air Race of 1919, Triumph and Tragedy in America's Skies. October 8, 1919. The air crackles with excitement and the roar of engines. 63 aircraft line up on airfields in New York and San Francisco, poised for an adventure that will push the boundaries of aviation and human endurance. This isn't just any race. It's the first ever transcontinental air race across America. A grueling 5,400-mile round trip that will test pilots, machines, and the very limits of early aviation technology. The challenge. The task before these brave aviators was daunting. Flying mostly World War I surplus DH-4 biplanes, along with a smattering of other aircraft types, they faced a journey fraught with peril. These were not the comfortable, pressurized cabins we know today. Picture open cockpits, exposed to the elements, with pilots relying on little more than their wits and basic instruments to navigate across a continent. The rules were strict. No night flying, 20 mandatory stops, and a maximum distance of 180 miles between landings. This wasn't just a test of speed. It was a test of endurance, skill, and sheer determination. Here, the competitors. Among the 63 aircraft that took off that day, several stood out. Let's meet some of our key players in this high-stakes aerial drama. First, there's Lieutenant Belvin W Maynard, known as the Flying Parson. An ordained Baptist minister with a passion for flight, Maynard was considered a favorite after winning the International Air Derby just 2 months earlier. His DH-4 biplane, affectionately named Hello Frisco, carried an unusual passenger, his faithful canine companion Trixie. Maynard's confidence was well-founded. He had a deep understanding of his aircraft and a natural talent for navigation. But even the most skilled pilot couldn't predict the challenges ahead. Then we have Captain John O. Donaldson, piloting an SE-5A fighter. Donaldson's resourcefulness would be put to the ultimate test as the race unfolded. Lieutenant D.G. Gish was another competitor, flying with French Air Attaché Captain Paul de Laverne as his observer. Their flight would become one of the most dramatic moments of the entire race. We have Major A.L. Sneed and his passenger, Sergeant Worth McClure. Their story would become one of the race's most tragic chapters, drama in the skies. As the planes took to the skies, the true nature of the challenge became apparent. This was no leisurely cross-country jaunt. It was a battle against nature, machine, and human limitations. Rainstorms battered the fragile aircraft, turning visibility to near zero. Pilots found themselves lost, relying on nothing more than landmarks and their own sense of direction to find their way. Mechanical failures were common, forcing emergency landings in less than ideal conditions. Some pilots found themselves touching down in Lake Erie, their wheels sinking into the muddy shoreline. Others crash-landed in farmers' fields, their planes nose down in the dirt. But perhaps the most heart-stopping moment came for Lieutenant D.G. Gish and Captain de Laverne. As they flew over Livingston, their aircraft suddenly caught fire. Imagine the terror, thousands of feet in the air, flames licking at your aircraft, with nothing but open sky beneath you. It was the race's only mid-air fire, and by some miracle, both men managed to land safely and escape with their lives. Tragedy strikes, but not all were so fortunate. The race exacted a terrible toll. By the time the last plane touched down on October 31st, there had been 54 accidents and crashes. 7 brave aviators had lost their lives in pursuit of this audacious goal. One of the most heartbreaking incidents occurred at the Buffalo airfield. Major A.L. Sneed was coming in for a landing, but the field was muddy, and he was approaching too high. His passenger, Sergeant Worth McClure, in an act of quick thinking and bravery, climbed out onto the fuselage and slid back to weigh down the tail. It was a desperate gambit that ended in tragedy. The plane plunged nose first into the mud, catapulting McClure onto the ground. The impact broke his neck, making him the 5th victim of the race. His sacrifice was a stark reminder of the dangers these early aviators faced in pushing the boundaries of flight. The victor emerges. Despite the challenges and tragedies, one man emerged victorious. Lieutenant Belvin W. Maynard, the Flying Parson, completed the round trip in an astonishing 3 days and 21 hours. But even for Maynard, the journey was far from smooth. While flying over Nebraska, his engine's crankshaft broke, forcing an emergency landing in Wahoo. It seemed like the end of the race for Maynard, but fate had other plans. In a stroke of incredible luck, a replacement engine was located in Omaha. It was rushed to Wahoo by train, and Maynard's team worked tirelessly to install it. Against all odds, Maynard was back in the air, pushing his Hello Frisco to the limit. His victory was a testament to skill, determination, and perhaps a touch of divine intervention, fitting for the Flying Parson. The aftermath and legacy. The 1919 Transcontinental Air Race was more than just a competition. It was a crucial milestone in aviation history, pushing the boundaries of what was possible in long-distance flight. It exposed the limitations of early aircraft and the need for better training, equipment, and safety measures. The race paved the way for the future of commercial aviation and transcontinental air travel. It sparked improvements in aircraft design, navigation systems, and pilot training. The lessons learned from this race would shape the future of aviation for decades to come. Epilogue. But the story doesn't end with the race. For some, like our Victor Belvin Maynard, aviation remained a lifelong passion, and ultimately, a fatal one. Just 3 years after his triumphant win, on September 7, 1922, Maynard lost his life while performing stunts at a county fair in Rutland, Vermont. His tragic end was a reminder of the ongoing risks faced by these pioneers of the sky. Conclusion. The 1919 Transcontinental Air Race stands as a testament to human courage, ingenuity, and the relentless pursuit of progress. These brave pilots, Maynard, Donaldson, Gish, McClure, and all the others, were true pioneers. They risked everything to prove that coast-to-coast flight was possible, laying the groundwork for the aviation industry as we know it today. The next time you board a plane for a cross-country flight, settled comfortably in your seat with in-flight entertainment at your fingertips, spare a thought for those daring aviators of 1919. Remember the open cockpits, the makeshift airfields, the bravery and sacrifice that made it all possible. Their legacy lives on in every mile we fly, in every continent we cross, in the very fact that we can now traverse in hours what took them days of perilous flight. The skies we now take for granted were opened by their courage, paid for with their sweat, their daring, and sometimes their lives.